Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha and welcome everyone. By now we're probably a few weeks into the new year and hopefully it's going really well for you. And I'm super excited for the new year and all the new things that it's going to bring. And it's just really a super excited time around New Year's. Now, I'm sure you've made your New Year's resolutions and hopefully you will be able to see them through. But for me, I stopped making New Year's resolutions because I just couldn't keep them, to be honest. Things would always pop up and, kick me off track. So what I did was every time I realized something needed to change in my life, I took some time out. I took a day off and just thought through what I needed to do and put myself on a path to just making some simple progress in that area every single week. And that's how I built Rapid Retire. It was a week by week, month by month, and year by year. Now, you may be saying, Harold, I can't afford to take time off or take a day off. And I understand that. And when I ask clients to come in for their checkup, some of them tell me just that. Right now, I just can't afford to take time off, so I'm open on Saturdays just because I understand how they feel. And I've been there. So even if you can't take a day off, you still have days off, right? You don't work 7 days a week, and hopefully you don't. It's just a matter of how and where you're investing your time and your talents. Let's get into today's show. Don't be stupid, save for retirement. A very wise man once said, when you waste your time and talents, you're investing in a future of poverty. Let me say that again. When you waste your time and talents, you are investing in a future of poverty. Now I'm going to go back up for a second and change my show title because I don't think it should be Don't Be Stupid, Save for Retirement. I think it's Don't Be Stupid, Invest Wisely for Retirement. Why? You see, I think there's a very big difference between saving and investing for retirement. And I'm sure you know that, but why do mostly everyone say, how much are you saving for retirement? Or are you saving for retirement? Now, the grand difference is investments have a certain level of risk. Saving money also has a level of risk, but it's extremely low. Now, if your investments lose money, you may or not get that back, right? Depending on if you hold it or when you sell it, it just all depends. The only way you lose your savings is if someone steals it or the bank goes under. Now, if the bank goes under, your money is insured up to a certain amount. So you get the point, right? It's all about the level of risk. And on my next show, I'm going to talk about how investing is so easy, even a monkey can do it. All right, it's that time again. So 1, 2, 3, let's get it. Now, last time I talked about the percentage of people who won't have what they need to last them throughout their retirement. It was roughly 97%. That's a big number. Why is it that? Why is that? Why is it that only 97% of the people or 3% of the people in this country has enough while the other 97% don't? When I was presenting on paying for college, I would send out this invite to invite parents to come and attend, a dinner function that we had. And I would speak on saving for college and all the different things that people go through when faced with paying for college. And the title on the invite went like this: 73% of parents say that sending their kids to college was more important than saving for retirement, but they had no plan to pay for it. Now, if something was that important, shouldn't a person have some kind of plan to pay for it? It's like taking a road trip across America with no navigation system. Now, let me give you a piece of fiduciary advice that's going to save your life. Your financial plan is your navigation system. It will keep you on track. And when things present themselves, things come up or people bring things your way and you get confused, you're not sure what to do, always go back to your plan. Now, that's a big problem because a lot of people don't have a plan. They have ideas. They have ideas on how they're going to save or invest for retirement. They have ideas on how they're going to do certain things, but they don't have a step-by-step plan that's guaranteed to work every single time with little to no risk. All right. We'll talk about some of that a little bit later on, but we all know that retirement is important. but many people, they don't have a plan to pay for it. And I watch TV. I read the internet just like everybody else do. I consume information, and I heard something from one of the talking heads on an investment show that I was watching. I think it was last night. And they said roughly 40% of Americans have less than $400 in the bank. Wow. What? My ex-coworker from Memphis, he had this funny saying, and, every time something would be weird or strange or not going a certain way, he would say, "What y'all doing out there, man?" It's just slang term, but the economy is supposed to be booming, right? Unemployment is supposed to be at an all-time high, all-time low, right? But the numbers are true, but what it doesn't consider is the number of crappy jobs that have been created. So a lot of people, quite frankly, are underemployed. They're working 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs, depending on, how bad things are for them. So number one, why people don't have enough to retire on is they just don't make enough to pay their bills and to put money away. A lot of people in this country are still living paycheck to paycheck. They keep finding themselves stuck in a vicious cycle of just trying to make ends meet. Now, to be honest, I don't think this is you, my listener, but if it is, I have some good news for you. Things, to be honest with you, they don't have to stay this way. I lived paycheck to paycheck for years, and it wasn't fun. It was hard. And I don't know what your religious background is, and I'm not going to get into that with you. But, I just want to take a minute and share something that happened to me. Now, I've always wanted to own my own business, but I just wasn't sure where to start, where to turn. And so I did like everybody else. I just winged it. And you know what? I tried, and it failed miserably. It failed at the worst possible time because my wife was 8 months pregnant, and we had a 5-year-old. And we fell on some really hard times. And to be honest with you, through a lot of prayer and just, plain old not giving up, I finally got a decent job, but it didn't pay that much. But it was a step in the right direction. And so once I got that job, I started to set some goals. And then as a side note, now I live in a place that I used to drive by quite often when I worked that job. I would go on outside sales calls, and I would go visit clients in their homes when I worked for this company. And I would go to some really nice houses. And, the next thing I just began to look at that. And I got that in my head that, maybe someday I too could live there. Did I set a plan for it? No, but it was just something that was always in my mind. But anyway, nothing hard, just setting some simple goals. Or before I knew it, my mind began to do some crazy things. My mind started leading me to things and places that would help me achieve my goals. And quite frankly, I really think you tend to get what you focus on the most. You focus on the positive, you're going to get the positive. You focus on the negative, you're going to get the negative. And so one Friday morning before work, I used to have this ritual that, I would get up very early in the morning, and I would go and, do some Bible study and just kind of, focus my mind on, things of the day, things of work, my future, where I wanted to be. I was in my early 20s still. And throughout that process, my mind simply led me to a Bible study hosted by a very successful businessman here in Hawaii. And this Bible study was held outdoors in a park where homeless people slept. So I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. We got homeless people laying around here and there, but, I got some goals, and I just want to see what this is all about. Now, I'm not sure how it's going to help me at this point, but I went there anyway. I attended. Some really nice folks was there. And what I heard, it didn't come from the speaker, but from a lawyer who was there. And it was after everything was over, and we're just kind of out there hanging around, mingling. She said, the first step in getting anywhere financially is counting the cost or creating a budget. Have you sat down and figured out a budget, what goes in and what goes out? And I said, no, we don't make a lot of money. So we know what goes in, what goes out, and it's just not enough. And she said, well, you're going to have to sit down and put that down on paper. And so again, I knew about budgeting, but more importantly, this was about being accountable for every single dime that came in to my wallet and out of my wallet. The bottom line is that I had to stop being lazy and pretending like I didn't know any better, because I did. Essentially, where I was in my life at that point, it was my own fault. So long story short, my wife and I, we did it. We sat down and we started budgeting. I didn't like it because it exposed areas in my financial life where I was simply being stupid. So I had to humble myself, and we kept at it. And before I knew it, I had started another business that also ended up failing. But as soon as that one failed, you know what I did? I took what I had left, which was about $238, and I started a new business that eventually evolved into my current firm, which is Bright Tree Financial Group, where we dream, plan, and we accomplish it. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And if you're faithful in the little things, you're definitely going to have opportunities to handle much greater things. Now, you all know that, but why are so many people still struggling to put away for retirement? The second reason I think is just too hard. I just shared some of my story, and it was really hard. And we had no money to put away and save for retirement. It was buying formula, buying diapers, paying rent, all those things that young couples do. And that's why when I talk to young kids today, I really sit them down and share with them how important it is to plan your future, plan your family. Things are not just supposed to happen. You have to plan these things out. My kids, they came home for Christmas and the New Year, and I really sat them down and I just shared with them all over again what the moral of the story is and what they need to do to make sure they don't repeat some of the same stupid mistakes that I made. And number 3, people can't save or put away for retirement because they just simply make bad financial choices. Now, along my journey, I've made some bad financial choices and some very bad investments, from the type of cars I bought to the places we lived. And I've always been a big dreamer, but I've been a big dreamer without having, the solid plans to help me, achieve those dreams in the right way. You see, I just didn't know what I didn't know. Again, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was financially illiterate at some point. I was financially ignorant, and someday I'll tell you the story about how I actually got into financial planning. But when it comes to investing for retirement, if you can put away money, you're going to be faced with a lot of different options. So let's go through some of them and take a look. The 401k. Is the 401k the right thing for you to do? We talked earlier about companies automatically enrolling people in their 401ks. Is that right or not? You're investing in something and you have no plan. Should you put away 10 to 15% of your income for retirement, but then end up like so many people having to finance the rest of their way through life with debt, right? So I see that all the time. People come in the office, they have homes that are worth millions of dollars or $1.5 million or whatever it might be, and they have a lot of equity in the property. And then they also have maybe $500,000 in their IRAs, 401ks, TSPs, pensions, or whatever. But the problem is they don't have a plan. They have a lot of money in retirement accounts, but they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan to pay for college because the mentality is save money for retirement, get the house paid off. Question is that the right way for you to go? The stock market, is it the right thing for you to do? Should you just buy a bunch of mutual funds and then set it and forget it? Should you buy into the hype of the stock market is really hot right now? Should you do that or not? Is it the right thing to do? Annuities. Should you put some of your money in annuities because they promise you a stream of income for the rest of your life? Is that a good strategy, right or wrong? Who knows, by the way? How big is that stream of income? I hear a lot of seniors, they talk about, again, being on a fixed income. A lot of seniors have annuities because they're safe. A lot of them guarantee your principal and you're never going to lose. But at the same time, inflation is still there. Inflation is there. It's 3% or so, and it's going to continue to eat into that stream of fixed payments. And so we got to figure out a way to create a stream of income that is constantly rising to meet the rising cost. That is very important. I understand it's one thing to be safe and to have concerns, but if you're working with the right type of fiduciary and they have your best interest in mind, they should be setting up your accounts based on a short-term, an intermediate, and a long-term mindset. The truth is, if you have all your money on safe mode and you retire, all right, you retire and you're getting 3% because it's not a lot of risk. You have your whole entire portfolio set at low risk, you're eventually going to run into what they call portfolio failure. And that's why investment advisors are trying to stick with a 3% withdrawal rate. And we'll kind of talk about that in the next show about investing. But you have to understand whether or not those things are right for you. Again, life insurance isn't right for you. Should you try and invest and save through a life insurance policy? There are a lot of pros and cons about life insurance. We'll talk about life insurance in a later show, but I believe it's one of the best things that you can do, along with having a solid financial plan where, that life insurance policy is the foundation of your financial plan and you're building on top of that. Nobody builds a house without laying down a slab of concrete. You've heard the story about the man who built his house on the sand and the man who built his house on the rock and things like that, right? Where are you building your financial future? That's very important. Real estate. Should you start trying to buy and flip real estate? I see these TV shows and they're fun. It looks cool, right? A lot of them, they do make money. It's time consuming, but is that your thing? Do you have gifts and talents in that area? Now, as you can see, there are a lot of things you can do, and I only mentioned a handful of them. Here's the problem. You really can't decide where to invest until you have a financial plan that guides your investment strategy. Otherwise, I feel you're gambling because you have no idea how it's going to turn out. And that's why only 3% of people in this country are going to have enough to last them their entire lives. Everybody else is gambling. So I want you in that 3%. And I'm sure you want to be in that 3%. But you know what? You're going to have to make some changes. And I've touched on some things you're currently dealing with, and you want some help, do me a favor and go to retirenowretirewild.com and download that Rapid Retire brochure. Complete the Game Changer form, and I'll get in touch with you, to help you stop doing some of the stuff that you hate. So if you're tired of making New Year's resolutions that you can't keep, let's find a way to stop that. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, and I know a lot of people are, let's figure out how to stop that, If you've been making bad investment choices with your money, let's figure out how to stop that. Now, in using Rapid Retire, there can be no guarantees made that you will be in a position to retire 7 to 10 years sooner or any specific period of time. Results of the program will vary, and past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments, including real estate, are speculative in nature and involve substantial risk of loss. We encourage our investors to invest carefully. We encourage our investors to get personal advice from their own professional investment advisor and to make independent investigations before acting on any information published in our shows. Until next time, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is the podcastfactory.com.